Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City. I better put my glasses on or I can't read this. My name is Kathleen Cahill, and I'm the director of the Worship Arts Committee. And this is a service that we've been putting together for the past 8 months. It's called Stages of Life. A lot of time, ideas, wine, and a lot of sharing have gone into this. There were a few bumps along the way. We were originally going to call it the spirituality of the life cycle. But being Unitarians, many people protested the word spirituality. And when I told a woman in her late 80s about the service, hoping to get her to come in and be part of it, I asked her, what is it like to be your age? And she replied, well, I'm not going to tell you. It's not easy to talk about your age, especially as you get older. Each of us is on a solitary journey through life. We are solitary beings, except we're not just solitary. We're also interconnected. We're going through the same changes, the same different things, all alone and all together. And now, 6 people are going to talk about it.
The chalice lit among us is a beacon of hope in a world of crisis, a beacon of possibility made manifest in community, a beacon of warmth through our interconnections, a beacon of light illuminating our shared wisdom, a beacon of connection by our being together.
Where are you going, my baby? My name is Asha, and I'm 17. Actually, I've only been able to say that for about a week, so it still feels like I'm lying when it comes out of my mouth. I don't feel 17 at all. Part of me still feels like an innocent little 7-year-old, part of me already an independent college student, and part of me a really hip grandma. Since my birthday, though, I've been thinking a lot more about age and growing up and what it means to be a teenager these days. There are a lot of stereotypes about teenagers, and I mean a lot. We're lazy, we're irresponsible, we're selfish, and all we do is sit around and take selfies all day. But most of all, we're constantly raging against authority because we hate being told what to do. And I mean, there's some truth in that. In an effort to avoid being too angsty, I'll keep this brief. The amount of rules and restrictions placed on teenagers, by family, friends, teachers, is a lot. My parents don't let me have any form of social media. My school won't let me wear shirts that show my shoulders. I'm too young to do half the things I want to do, and too old to do the other half. Too young to watch R-rated movies, too old to have birthday parties, too young to vote, too old to take naps. The list goes on. But at the same time, teenagers are also subject to all sorts of expectations. We feel an enormous pressure to succeed, pressure to get straight A's, take hard classes, do every extracurricular activity, get into Ivy Leagues, and that's just school, not to mention social pressure. Our lives are not easy as much as you may think they are. But don't take it from me. According to the American Psychological Association, teenagers are now the most stressed out age group in the US, more so than adults. And because of it, our mental health is taking a downward spiral. As a student in the rigorous IB program at my school, I regularly get less than 6 hours of sleep a night. Between my 5 AP classes, debate, theater, dance, ukulele lessons, French club, volunteering, and of course, the UU Church, I don't have a lot of free time. I barely found the time to write this speech. But I'm far from alone in experiencing this. So, restrictions and expectations. Essentially, being 17 means living a life full of contradictions. Oh, you have to get into Stanford, but you can't stay out past 9 p.m. on a school night. You're expected to have your whole life perfectly planned out, but you're still seen as incapable of being independent or taking care of yourself. The biggest misconception about teenagers, though, is that we don't care. I'm here to tell you that we do. We care a lot. I cannot tell you how badly I wanted to vote in the last election, but watch out for me at the polls in 2020. The stress we experience does come from external pressure, but also from internal motivation to make the world better. Don't believe me? One of my friends just started her own nonprofit to help hospitalized kids called Art with Heart. Another was a key organizer and speaker at the Utah Climate March in April. Another travels to Kenya every summer to help teach kids and rebuild schools. However, young people are so often underestimated and not taken seriously when they have an idea. Many say that in recent years they've lost faith in the next generation, but if anything, my faith has grown exponentially. My generation will be the ones that travel to Mars in 2030, find a cure for cancer, stop climate change. I haven't gotten to Mars, or cured cancer, or stopped climate change. But the point is, I could. But what do I know? After all, I'm just 17.
Hi, I'm Heather, and I am 28. When I was about 7 or 8 years old, I had life completely figured out and planned to a T. I was going to find the perfect man, be married by age 21, graduate college at age 22, after which I would immediately start my career full force, purchase a gorgeous house, and have a few kids. I was supposed to have completed all of these tasks and be settled as a full-fledged adult by the time I was 30. Now at 28 years old, with 30 looming ever nearer, I can't help but look back and wonder what happened to my perfectly laid plan. I did go to college right after high school, but it wound up taking me 8 years from start to finish to achieve my degree, mostly due to the fact that I kept changing my career path drastically. First, I was a jewelry designer. Next, I was a painter, then a biologist, then I was med school bound, and now, after all of that art and science, I sell real estate for a living. I feel like my 20s began decades ago, and I've been experiencing endless phases of metamorphosis, completely changing who I am over and over again. Shape-shifting while trying to find a new direction since I stepped off the path of my original plan so long ago. I haven't even been accomplishing these milestones in the right order. 4.5 years ago, I started dating Kyle. 2 years ago, we bought a house together, shortly after which I started building my career. 1 year ago, I graduated from college. And just a couple months ago, I got engaged. No kids, the house is far from gorgeous, and I am way past my deadlines for all of these life events. It's stressful feeling like I'm so far behind in life, like I should have accomplished more by now. I feel like a lot of people my age feel anxiety because they aren't where they thought they should be by now. It's as if we've all swallowed this calendar created by societal pressures and expectations and internalized it to the point of thinking it's intrinsic to who we are. That if we don't meet expectations, we are failures at life, that we should just stop trying. There's so much pressure that I've even known women who, instead of being happy when their friends get married or get pregnant, they get truly upset because they weren't the ones to do these things first, because they feel so behind. I know that it must sound like I'm terribly disappointed with my life, but don't worry, I'm very happy. I love my life. I like where I am in life. It's just not that I'm anywhere near where I thought I would be. And it can be disorienting at times. There are moments when I beat myself up for not doing more, for not being more successful, for not getting things done faster. And I have to take a breath and remind myself that I'm not who I was all those years ago when I made those plans. Not to mention that life has a tendency of throwing curveballs. I just have to remember that everything takes a little longer than I think it will. And it's better to do things right than to do them on someone else's schedule. And it turns out that age 30 is not some magical deadline by which I have to have my life in order. Perhaps my life won't ever be in order. Perhaps my life won't ever live up to what I had planned for it at any point. After all, we are all constantly changing. Who we are, where we live, who we surround ourselves with, what our purpose is. Maybe life in general, not just my 20s, is all a series of metamorphosis, and we just have to learn to roll with the punches. I recently read a book called The Happiness Advantage, which talks about how, as a society, we are taught that we must work really hard to be successful so that we may be happy later. But in fact, we have it completely backwards. In order to be successful, you must first be happy. I've been trying hard to change this mindset, to dispel this notion of a calendar that I must meet the expectations of. Because life is now, happiness is now. And while it's important to set goals and to strive to achieve them, it's also important to take joy in the present and to remember to be happy no matter what life throws at you.
Good morning. I'm Laurie Robinson, and here are my list of my truths at 34. Coming to the realization that no one has the answers to the problems that plague this world and inside of me. It is discovering what I truly love and going after it, or not, because I just don't know where to begin. It's about patience with myself and others. Reminding myself that when I'm judging someone, it's time to take a look inside of me. And when I'm judging me, I need to practice self-compassion and remind myself no one is perfect. It's admitting that I actually still have no idea what I want to do for a living. And being afraid of the future, in the same breath being excited for the future. Discovering that I'm not special or better than anyone, but I am special to some people, and I'm better at some skills than others. Being honest with myself about good habits and bad. The fact that I can hate being a little chubby, but I still love eating cookies in bed at night. That at times I'm not as courageous as I want to be. Being lost and afraid of moving forward. I feel beautiful some days, other days not so much. Today, yes. Being unsure of who I am and what I stand for. Knowing that it is truly harder walking the walk than talking the talk. Trying to figure out how I can help change a society and government with broken systems that perpetuate oppression, pain, suffering, and failing miserably at it. Having anxiety that I'm not doing enough to help others. Discovering how my depression, sexual abuse at the age of 8, and divorce of my parents has drastically affected my life to this day. Forgiving myself that I'm not where I think I should be. Learning how to fail. Challenging myself to dream big, because seriously, why the hell not? Wanting to travel the world. Being diagnosed with ADD and being so grateful to know that I get to learn my new brain and that I don't have to think I'm stupid anymore. Having a glass or two of wine is a great idea, but having the whole bottle is not. Unlearning self-hate. I want to thrive, and I want to let my light shine. Being more vulnerable with others is a goal. Believing I have something to say and something to give. And last, but surely not least, yes, this is my natural curl. Yes, I do love it. Yes, I put a ton of product in it. And yes, the curly hair is a real struggle. Thank you.
Good morning. One thing that I find very moving about following her presentation is my own awareness of what brings us together as human beings, our ability to share in each other's pain and suffering. I'm going to talk about how it is to be Black, how it feels to be Black. I was born in the Kingdom of Lesotho in Southern Africa. Lesotho is an enclave of South Africa, so I experienced apartheid. While I was there, I was told overtly, like it was, a similar experience to other people who were Black, that I couldn't get in because I'm Black. I am here. And anything you could potentially think of that you can do as a human being, I have to prove that I can do the same thing. So it's quite a juxtaposition. And today I decided not to tell stories in my journey as a Black person, but to share with you how it feels to be Black. And I know many of you have individual experiences about being Black, sun tanning, but you haven't stayed long enough in the sun to be completely Black. And so what I'm going to share here is a personal experience, and I'm saying personal because I don't want to make it seem like I'm speaking for the entire Black race. In my experience as a Black person, I feel different levels of threat. Sometimes I feel like death is just nearby. So that is why in one of those moments I chose to write the poem, The Will. When I die, I will finally speak, and you will hear. Don't write epitaphs or read letters. Don't sing hymns, since dogs will bark, and my heart will sing, and you will let them play with my bones. Men, you will sow seeds and grow them in my plot, and feed the poor. For tombstones and headstands, plant aloe. Let passers-by plug into his ears and smear sap on dry skin to soothe hunger. Let the dogs bark and play with my bones. For if there's a thing dogs love, it is the bone. For a body cut up in life, let vultures feast upon my flesh, so I too can be finally free with them. I also enjoy a rare opportunity of a Black person who grew up in the Kingdom of Lesotho to enjoy the accompaniment of Puccini in some of his works, Tosca. Because in this culture where you cannot cry in public, Puccini has allowed me the opportunity to just get up and express how I feel at liberty. So I will present to you Vici d'arte by Puccini.
Good morning. Thank you. Twice today I get fed. Thank you, Victoria. You. What's your name tomorrow? Did I say my name already? My name is David, and you'll hear my age in just a second. Dr. Christiane Northrup, MD, who wrote the book Goddesses Never Age, advises her clients and readers to never speak of their chronological age again, and recommends telling people only their biological and wisdom ages when asked. Her well-taken point is, don't allow judgments about age limit our choices and our path. I like that because it gives my mind an excuse to ignore society's conventions, and it gives me the courage to face my own limiting beliefs and trying something new at this chronological age of 58. There's another important benefit for me about admitting our chronological age, and that is I am able to see and observe people I admire, both younger and older, do amazing and important things that seem to defy their age and where we think they should be in life. And this gives me hope and courage to continue pushing forward in my own life. For several years, I have been intellectually aware, only intellectually aware, that life is always changing. But lately, this intellectual understanding has evolved to an experiential knowing that life does always change. And by extrapolation, I can change too. It has snapped me out of some quicksand thinking that supposes that because I am 58, it's probably too late, and other equally and pernicious limiting beliefs like I'm getting too old and my body is falling apart and I'm not as sharp as I used to be. From this and other recent experiences, I have come to some reclaimed, remembered, and new conclusions in my life. I'll just mention 4. First, I have come to remember and to embrace the truth that I am quite able and have the power to choose who I want to be, what I want to do, and how I want to show up more fully and authentically, unconstrained by biases about age. For me, this change in course clearly runs counter to the infinite number of iterations and reiterations from a society that steadily and forcefully reminds us that people our age and older are over the hill, not as useful, needing to retire, etc., ad nauseum. So now, every day, I choose to push forward to claim just a little bit of my power and my freedom. Some of those expressions of freedom that I choose are the freedom to choose to wake up on the right side rather than the wrong side of the bed, just to start out in my morning. The freedom to love myself, to love another, to love that other, and to love all of life. The freedom to be grateful rather than resentful. The freedom to be creative rather than stagnant and to become the next new expanded version of me rather than the same old self. And with that, the freedom to see and be part of the solution rather than become paralyzed by the problem and thus remain part of it. And the freedom to choose and give, to give and share of myself, my time, and my resources, rather than wondering how I'll ride out these last few years just until I make it to the end. Second, it has come recently into the focus on my radar that I am at once existing in this point in time, and also with the assistance of my imagination, I am still a child, I'm still a young man, and actually, I still possess the full complement of any one of the points of life I have lived heretofore. Please indulge my sharing a couple of examples to illustrate my point. With the gift of memory, I am still the 5-year-old I used to be. Back there in time, carefree and playing with friends on a summer day that was bathed in a hazy, magical light full of amazing things floating and flying in the air and smelling wondrously of grass and garden warmed by the sun. And I will always be the 16-year-old able to remember when I fell in love for the first time and thought my heart and my body would burst with the force of passion and intoxicating longing for that other. And I have been that 16-year-old several times since. I am sure if I paused for just one moment with all of you and invited you to remember your first time falling in love, we would all be swept away in the very real feeling again. Still frisky and passionate inside, even though you and I are no longer 16. Third, I can see in ways I could not see before that age is a state of mind. I am only as old as I think I am, and that the best is yet to come. And fourth, perhaps the most important point for me is really a conclusion of the previous three. I live in multiple dimensions. I am here at this place and time in life, but I'm also alive in the many memories of my past, and perhaps more alive in the work of creating the next new me with the divine power of choice and imagination at my disposal. I am here today, confined in this finite point in time, yet I also live completely unconstrained in the great expanse of archived experience and my next adventure plucked from any number of infinite future possibilities.
Good morning. Hi. I am Tim Chambliss, and I must confess, I guess, that I can be less serious when I remember a song I heard when I was young, one September long ago. Yes, I heard a song years ago on my parents' car radio. I could not confuse this long song with the Beatles or the Moody Blues, and I would not confuse it with the loud tones of the Rolling Stones, not like the profound songs of Joan Baez or Judy Collins, Bonnie Tyler, or Janis Joplin, Leonard Cohen, or Bob Dylan, and not like the music lyrics of Phil Oakes or Jimi Hendrix. The words I heard came not from the harmony of the birds or the vivid verbs from the Yardbirds, not the intensity of the Zombies, not the harmony of Peter, Paul, and Mary, or from the profound heavenly melodies of the Mamas and Papas. No, oh no. This was certainly not Italian opera. Amazingly, the singer was Frank Sinatra. Curiously, could it really be? That old man had intrigued me. Did he really have charisma? That old man? Frank Sinatra? he would make me late. Ah, yes, for a very important date, the first day at a new job at a freight post office. That day I was a lean 17, full of questions, very green, and wanting answers. I was wandering and wondering. Then when I heard these music lyrics. When I was 17, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for small town girls and soft summer nights. We'd hide from the lights on the village green when I was 17. When I was 21, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for city girls who lived up the stairs and with all that perfumed hair. And it came undone when I was 21. When I was 35, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for blue-blooded girls of independent means. We'd ride in their limousines. Their chauffeurs would drive when I was 35. But now, the days grow short. I'm in the autumn of the year. And now I think of my life as vintage wine from fine old kegs. From the brim to the dregs, it poured sweet and clear. It was a very good year. Today is October 22nd, 2017. 55 years ago today, I saw President Kennedy tell the world we all then faced the fears, the horror of nuclear war. Listening to his 1962 words, knowing too they were not absurd, I wondered if I would never, ever enjoy another birthday. Well, I got past the scene at 17, and I was not done at 21. Somehow, I did survive at 35, and now I do not fear the autumn of the year. Oh, I have seen 55 years go by clearly. 55 years. Some tears, some fears. Occasionally, the bad dreams. More often, I have seen sunbeams. Today, I can say this with certainty. Today is October 22nd, 2017. Tomorrow really is my birthday. Tomorrow, happily, I turn 70.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm David Owens. I'm the director of music here at First Church. And first, I would like to acknowledge and thank the Worship Arts Committee and team for putting together a lovely service that we'll have the pleasure of seeing the finish of in the next 20, 25 minutes, something like that. Also, secondly, visitors for the first or second time, thank you for joining us this morning. We're awfully glad to have you here. We hope it's a rewarding service, not like our usual services look, but then it's hard to define what our usual services look like. So, but it is somewhat unusual that we've got the Worship Arts Committee doing it this morning. A couple of very quick announcements. Please remember, November 4th is the church auction. We would like everybody to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you notice in the order of service, they're urging us to buy tickets online. You can still do that, and I got a little confused with this, which is probably me, but apparently you need to register in addition to having a ticket. Go to the table out there, talk to the auction people. They will make sure that it all happens. Regardless, we want you all there. It will be a lot of fun. Secondly, start watching for an upcoming concert by a friend of the church, Keith Trickett. He's a British fellow who does all of those wonderful humorous British songs with a lot of flair and entertainment. His proceeds will be going to part of the IRC committee. They have a pedal power something where they do bikes for some of the new refugees that they're putting up. Please join us for this. It is November the 13th, I think. Watch for posters and dates on that. Last thing, Thursday night, this coming Thursday night, the RE is having a Halloween party. Starts at 6 o'clock. There'll be lots of fun and games and costumes, and then we march over to Friendship Manor and sing spooky songs. So it's a lot of fun. Again, that's this Thursday at 6 o'clock in the RE. If you have more questions, hunt down one of the RE people, Julie. There's a whole folks of people, yes, and Grace knows all about it, so you can ask her that. Now, a time to greet each other, visit for a few minutes, wish each other hello while we gratefully accept the offering.
Good morning. I'm Barbara Creek, and I'm 87 years old, so, we're getting up there in the program here. And this beautiful song, the words were written by Kathleen Cahill, and the music by David Owens, and it's just a wonderful thing to sing. So I hope you enjoy it. I bring in my life like the sheaves of the wheat as I walk through the fields with the leaves at my feet. The harvest, the flowers and fruit have been taken away in the yellow and gold at the end of the day. The harvest, the children behind me, their day just beginning. Their laughter like raindrops in summer. Come walk with me now and we'll talk of our mornings, our days of our sowing, our memories. Yes, our memories. I gather my life and surrender my care like the wind blows away all the chaff in the air. The harvest. I work the same field as my father has done, as my mother has done, as my children will do, the harvest. The children behind me, their day just beginning, their laughter like raindrops in summer. Come walk with me now and we'll speak of our mornings, the days of our sowing, our memories, the harvest.
I'm Edward Leaders, and I approve this message. I was born on Valentine's Day in 1923, and I'll leave the arithmetic to you. Actually, I'm still getting over Tim's reference to Frank Sinatra as the old man. I go back with Frank Sinatra when he was with Tommy Dorsey, and I was a guide at NBC in Chicago in the Merchandise Mart, and they came through to do the Tommy Dorsey program, and here was this little squirt running around giving everybody a hard time, just calling attention to himself. That's the old man. Well, one of the things I've learned over the years is to appreciate brevity. And so I've brought a couple quotations from my literary past and my literary future, as a matter of fact, to share with you for this occasion. The first of these is from the poem Ulysses by Alfred Lord Tennyson, my good friend Alfred Lord Tennyson. It's a poem you probably read back in high school, at least I hope so. I hope the high school teacher's still teaching. It's a wonderful poem to reread at different stages in your life. And I'm pulling from it a couple phrases midway in the poem, which is about Odysseus after his Odyssey is completed and he's back home and he's retired. And then what? So it's not inappropriate, but this phrase always sticks with me, and it plays back in my mind more often than I can imagine. It's simply this: though much is taken, much abides. And then I want to quote from myself. First a poem that appeared first. It's been reprinted, I'm glad to say, but the first was in a book of mine called The Clam Lake Papers, which was published in 1977. And the poem struck me just this morning as perhaps appropriate. It's called Winter Set. The child in me loves the snow falling in the dark outside. The child in me fears the snow falling in the dark outside. In me, the child can know the snow falling in the dark outside. I am inside. And a second quotation from myself, if you can indulge me again, from the book that is now in the hands of the University of Utah Press to be published next year in 2018, to be called The Salt Lake Papers. And a little commercial here, I realize. I hope we're all around to see it. The subtitle is From the Years in the Earthscapes of Utah. And there's a simple entry in the papers. Eventually, every human life becomes its own allegory. And now I move on to the music of Kurt Weill, and the lyrics, if I can remember them, by Maxwell Anderson from Knickerbocker Holiday, 1939, first production. And some of you may even remember Walter Houston, then in his 80s, I think, singing in the husky voice of an 80-year-old. And I'm going to submit you to the husky voice of a 94-year-old. For it's a long, long time from May to December, and the days grow short when you reach September. And the autumn weather turns the leaves to flame, and there isn't time for the waiting game. Oh, the days dwindle down to a precious few. September, November, and these few precious days I'll spend with you. These precious days I'll spend with you. The days dwindle down to a precious few. November, December, and these few precious days I'll spend with you.
So after the committee has sung through it once, you guys stand up, I'll cue you, and that's when you get to start singing, okay? They'll not do the repeat, but we will. But you'll get it in your head. Some of you may know this from Joni Mitchell's reading of it. It's a great song. So here's to you, may your dreams come true, may old Father Time never be unkind, and through the years save your smiles and your tears, they're just souvenirs. They'll make music in your heart. Remember this, each new day is a kiss sent from up above with an angel's love. So here's to you, may your skies be blue and your love blessed, that's my best to you. So here's to you, may your dreams come true, may old Father Time never be unkind, and through save your smiles and your tears, they're just souvenirs. They'll make music in your heart. Remember this, each new day is a kiss sent from up above with an angel's love. So here's to you, may your skies be blue and your love blessed, that's my best to you. Remember this, each new day is a kiss sent from up above with an angel's love. So here's to you, may your skies be blue and your love blessed, that's my best to you.